I'm Heather Vale.
And I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones.
And joining us today is Dr. Joe Rubino, the world's foremost expert on self-esteem, also an author and a coach. Thank you, Joe, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
So today we're going to talk about success mindset. And I find that when people teach about success, how to be more successful, they take one of two approaches. It's either the outer world, this is what you do, the hands-on stuff, or it's the inner world, this is your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, stuff like that. How important do you think the inner world stuff is compared to the outer world?
Equally important,
Okay.
because it's kind of like a hand. Without one side, you don't have the other.
Yeah.
So, for example, if your thought processes are inconsistent with what you want to manifest, then your actions are going to be off track. So, the umbrella that I like to give people is, what's your life purpose? What motivates you? When you act in accordance with your life purpose, when you create a vision that is in sync with your life purpose in every aspect of your life, who you're being, what you're doing, what you're having in your life, and who you're contributing to, then you can set goals which are measurable and specific and grounded in time that are a function of your vision, milestones along the way of accomplishing that vision, and you take actions that now are consistent with achieving your goals. So everything links to everything else, and of course, personal development, because as you're taking those actions, what happens? You make commitments, problems come up, and in order to overcome the problems, you need to be in personal development to allow the problems to train you and let life train you in a way where you now have the gifts, the tools to overcome those problems. So you learn and grow and become more of who you can be, so that you now have more to share with other people and more to accomplish in respect to achieving your goals, honoring your vision, and living your life purpose. So it's kind of like a spiral that continually envelops and grows. It is. It's exactly what it is.
And we both know you personally, Joe, and we know that you live this stuff. You're not just saying stuff, you live this. This is what you do. This is how you are.
Well, I wasn't always this way.
You had a journey.
Yeah, and we're all on our journey, and sometimes we need to experience the challenges that allow us to get insight into something we didn't know about ourselves and about others. So it's when we can embrace the process, true success, and true success mindset is about falling in love with the process while being on a path that honors your values and is consistent with your life purpose and sharing your gifts with the world and who you decided to be and what you're here for on this planet. So when you can be okay with that path, that process, and love the process, know that it's entirely consistent with what is supposed to be happening, good and bad, right now to you, because those are the lessons that you need to learn for your spirit growth, for your soul growth, for your ability to better contribute to other people.
Okay. So we all work in the online marketing, online business kind of world. We all have stuff that's available online. And what I find is a lot of people want to do that. They want to be an entrepreneur. They want to sell stuff on the internet. But probably well over 90%, maybe even more than 99% of them fail. And it's not because they don't have the tools, because they can all read the same ebook, they can all take the same course, they can learn this is what you do, this is how you tweak it, this is what's required step by step. I think that the ones that fail do it because something's wrong with the success mindset. Either they don't believe they can or something going on. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that the ones that fail, they're missing some distinction. They're missing something that they don't know that they don't know. And that could be in what they're attracting, it could be what they're giving out. It's kind of like riding a bike. You can go to the library and read about bikes, know that they have pedals and they have wheels and they have a chain, and here's where you put your hands and here's where you put your feet, and this is how you move them. But until you actually get on a bike and you wobble from side to side, fall a couple of times, you don't develop balance.
Yeah.
Balance allows you to ride the bike. And balance isn't something you can learn from books. It's a distinction. So people that succeed have the distinctions that people who don't succeed don't. And sometimes this falls into the category of, well, we don't know about ourselves. So you could be doing all the right things, supposedly, but having no success. Somebody else could be, doing something that you wonder, how are they being successful? Well, maybe they are creating richer value for people, or maybe they're doing something that the world is calling for, or maybe there's a lesson there for them that they're uncovering, and that's allowing them to contribute something to someone. So the first thing about a success mindset is, do you see your success as inevitable, such that no stop is going to prevent you from achieving that success? So there's no such thing as failure. Every lesson contains an opportunity for learning and for growth. And your job is to continue to learn and to grow and to develop and to be more capable of sharing who you are and your gifts with the world. And when you realize that about yourself, you'll realize that everyone can have a success mindset if they believe in themselves. And that's the number one key to being successful. It's having a positive expectation for your lives where you're so clear that you're going to be successful, that you see it as inevitable, so you generate the self-motivation that is required in order to break through the challenges, to do the things that will equate with success.
Okay.
So the key to that self-motivation is a crystal clear vision of what it is that you want to accomplish in life.
Okay. It's easy to say, have a vision of your success.
Yep.
And incredibly difficult for most people to do. For a lot of reasons. I mean, a lot of people have a fear of success, fear of failure that stops them from doing anything, so they fail automatically.
Right, they don't know what they want to be when they grow up.
They don't know what they want to be.
And they've already grown up.
Or they have beliefs inside them that somehow that they can't achieve what it is that they've envisioned. So how do they get over all those stumbling blocks and keep the vision clear and keep moving towards it?
Well, first you look at what are the stops. The stops in the domain of your belief in yourself and your belief in your ability to break through those stops. Are the stops in the domain of you not knowing what to do so you can get training? There's three domains of knowledge. What we know, what we don't know, and what we don't know we don't know.
Joe, I love the way your brain works. I just have to tell you. Yeah, you've got everything compartmentalized in there. There are three domains.
So
Please continue.
we know what we know. And we know what we don't know. So I don't know how to speak Greek, but if I learned how to speak Greek, it would go from the domain of what I don't know into the domain of what I do know. But what we do know and what we don't know represents a very small portion of what there is to know. And mostly what we don't know represents 98% of what there is to know.
But if we don't know it, how do we find out what's missing? Because there's
Great
no
question.
awareness of it.
That's where coaches come in.
Okay.
Coaches help us to source the area that we're blind to. Personal development programs do the same thing with exercises that allow us to map on questions onto our lives so we discover things that we don't know that we didn't know before. Mentors are people who show us the path. They have already trailblazed that path. So we can follow the clues that they've left, knowing that this is how to succeed at doing this, for example. And so it's a combination of being a perpetual student, knowing that you're never going to arrive, and accomplishment really has three different components to it. We produce a result, we have fun, and there's personal development taking place. So if we don't produce a result, right?
Yeah.
If we're not producing a result, there's something missing there because you're either eating the bear or the bear's eating you, right? If you're not having fun, then what good is it anyways? So decide to be in choice in whatever you do and know that you always have a choice and that there's consequences and cost to every choice that you make. But be in choice. Don't be a victim. Don't do things against your will and resent it, because now you're giving off an energy that's inconsistent with attracting success to you and attracting the kind of people that you'll need along your way. And then the third thing is know that it's all about the developmental process. We're always exactly where we need to be. And whatever is showing up in our lives, failure if you want to interpret it that way, or learning possibilities that are yet to be discovered, they are things that we are exactly there because we need those lessons. And when we learn the lessons, we now move on to learn the next lesson. And if we haven't learned those lessons, we keep encountering opportunities to learn those lessons. And that's why some people appear to be stuck in the same spot all their lives. It's because they haven't accessed the areas that they're blind to, so they get opportunity after opportunity. And if you're enjoying the process, you'll know that it's all good and it's all there to support you.
Okay. So when someone's at that point of same lesson, same lesson, same lesson, same lesson, and they finally say, okay, why does the same thing keep happening to me?
Yep.
What's the next step?
To stand in that question until you get some clarity as to an insight that allows you to break through the vicious cycle. You know, we put ourselves in these drama cycles in life where we experience the same sort of upsets, the same sort of relationship conflicts, the same sort of scarcity beliefs, whatever it is that keeps us stuck in suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And until we realize what the stop is, what is keeping us there, we get to relive those same challenging, sometimes
I love how
painful
you say
experiences.
get to.
Well, we get to because we need those lessons.
Okay.
And it's all good. Remember that it's all good. The key is to fall in love with the process. Even when it isn't much fun in the time and life seems to be putting it to you, remember that there's something here that I'm not getting. So who am I being that this is showing up around me? Who am I being that so-and-so is saying what they're saying or doing what they're doing? Not like blame or fault. You know, we have it that there's this failure and we're failures, and like all those interpretations don't support us.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to offer you another interpretation, that life is full of interpretations, and we get to create the ones that empower us, that move us forward, that keep us in relationship, that have us contribute our gifts and empower people to be their best. And we have a choice. We can be angry. We can get people before they get us, if that's our interpretation and our view of life. Or we can realize that everyone's doing the best that they know how to do, and that our job is to contribute some way. And here's what it comes down to oftentimes. When we take the focus off of our own petty concerns, and we contribute something in the world that's greater than we are, that we don't know how to do, or that we selflessly give of ourselves some way, we handle all our petty concerns. The first time that I tried to speak, I remember I was in a room, about 30 people. They were going around the room, and the request was, say your name and where you're from. And I remember, nervous as can be, this was about 24 years ago. I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. Why? Because I was so concerned with looking good and not looking bad. So what happens? What we resist,
You ended up looking
we keep
bad.
in place, right? We persist.
Yeah.
We get exactly the thing that we fear the most. When if you're a public speaker, which you both are, you know that if your concern is to deliver great content that changes lives, you're not thinking about how am I looking, am I going to say the right thing, am I going to have it perfect? You know, when we do these interviews, we don't rehearse them.
No.
I don't know what you're going to ask me. It's because I'm not trying to get it right. I'm trying to say something that's going to be moving the conversation forward and a contribution. That's my commitment.
Yeah.
So if we all get clarity on honoring our commitments, instead of doing what's convenient, looking good, being liked, getting it right, stepping over problems, whatever those things are, it's kind of like we're going down a forest path and we can come to a fork in the road on the path. And the left-hand path is doing what we've always done. Maybe it's stepping over things, maybe it's getting others before they get us, maybe it's feeding our anger and getting people to do what we want them to do, maybe it's being a victim or going into our pity party and being depressed. Whatever our standard method of operation is, we always go that way. But now when we get clarity about what are we most committed to, and in that moment where the X is, you are here and you can go right or you can go left. You can now take a conscious decision, a conscious mindset to follow the path of heart. Follow the path that's going to contribute to people. Follow the path that's going to manage your emotional reactive states. Follow the path that's going to empower someone's life. Follow the path that's going to contribute something to moving a situation forward. Acknowledging someone. Acknowledging yourself. Looking for the good instead of the flaw. When you know the questions to ask, you now can make logical decisions that move you in the right direction. And that's really about what it takes to live deliberately. We either are living deliberately or we're living in a fog, in a way where life is doing it to us and we don't know why. And it's because we're not in development. We're not analyzing these things step by step. We're not living from the heart, we're living from the head. And all of this is part of what it takes to not only create a successful mindset, but to attract the things that we want in our lives.
Okay. Now when you talk about living from the heart, how do we actually go about better tapping into our intuition and knowing that, yeah, this is my heart speaking, not my head.
Our heart chakra is about love. It's about sharing love. When we're coming from our centered place, we're not up in our head. We're not dealing with that negative self-talk. We're accessing our intuition, which is always accurate, as opposed to our negative self-talk, which is based in fear or based in sadness or based in protecting ourselves. So it's usually the second still small voice that we hear that is our intuition. The first one, when we manage it, is our self-talk. And when we calm ourselves down, we give up our right to be offended, to be invalidated, to be a victim. We ask ourselves, what is so about this? And oftentimes, we have to ask ourselves a question first. And that question is, am I willing to give up my right to be a victim? Am I willing to give up my right to be angry? Am I willing to give up my right to be afraid? Am I willing to give up my right to be sad? And many times it's so juicy to be sad, for example. We get to evoke the pity and the sympathy of other people. We get to avoid responsibility for our lives. We get to have other people feel sorry for us. We get to avoid the need to be in research around what it takes to break up this stop that we're in. When we're angry, we get to be forceful. We get to make others wrong. We get to exert our will. We get to avoid being dominated. So there's all of these things that we have to be willing to take responsibility. Not like blame or fault, but the ability to respond in a way that supports us, supports our communication, supports our relationships. And oftentimes we have to get off of being right. We have to get off of our ego. Our ego is about the head. It's about the negative self-talk. It's about one-upmanship. Our authentic, vulnerable self is about sharing who we are, honestly, authentically from the heart, in a way where we bond from our heart to someone else's heart. We're not trying to hide, we're not trying to protect, we're not trying to be coercive or covert or domineering. We're just being. And sometimes we need to go to that stillness, that meditative place where we know that we're coming from an authentic place, as opposed to overthinking it and trying to figure out what to do.
Right, yeah.
Well said.
Okay, so Joe, if the viewers want to follow up with you, they want to explore this more, find out more about what you do, where do they go?
I'm going to give you 3 websites. The first is highselfesteemkids.com. The second is highselfesteemadults.com. These are 2 certification programs where we teach self-esteem elevation principles to champion children or to champion adults. And my vision is to impact the lives of 20 million kids, 20 million adults with those. And the third is theselfesteembook.com. And that's a site where you can get a free gift that allows you to learn some lessons. It comes with some 7 mini courses on self-esteem elevation. And theselfesteembook.com also is a representation of the work that we do to support people who live their best lives.
Very nice. Okay, thank you so much, Joe. There's been so much information in there that I know this has helped people a lot, so thank you.
Thank you both. And
Thanks,
thank
Joe.
you.
I'm Heather Vale,
I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones.
helping you heat up your success at hotsuccesssecrets.com.